What is up, everybody, and welcome back to today's episode of Why'd I Buy Mini Truck. As you can see, we have our air compressors wired up into our relays. We also went ahead and wired up 86 and 30 into the fuse panel because we are going to be using a ground switch. And in order to do that, I had to jump both of the relays over to one side of the air pressure switch. Now the other side of that air pressure switch is going to come down and run into a physical switch, and that's just on the off chance that the pressure sensor doesn't work for some reason in the tank and goes over its maximum PSI. So I also have the main power right here, which will go to our battery. That's running through a 200 amp breaker, and that's going to run into our main fuse panel. Now the ground side of things runs right here to the main lug for our battery, and the ground on the fuse panel is really going to only be used for a couple things, like the pressure sensors for the airbags and the pressure sensor for the tank, and also maybe some lighting if we do decide to do something like that inside. Back here we have everything run, so our pressure switch is right there, runs inside. Like I said before, one lead is going to go to the relays to go ahead and trigger them on. The other lead is going to go up to the master switch, and then that end of the master switch is just going to land to a ground on the chassis, since we are doing a ground side switch. On the other side over here, we have all the wiring for the compressors. Everything's nice and routed. Now we are still waiting on the tank again, like I said. But I'm pretty happy with how everything came out today. We are going to be doing some wire management. This was just to get everything hooked up. I'm going to be going back through and cleaning everything up, making sure everything's secured to this back wall of the cab. And once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and hook the battery up. We're going to test the systems to verify that everything's operational, make sure that the compressors are working properly, run them to about 80% of their duty cycle, just to make sure that nothing is going to happen, no wiring is going to get too hot, we're not going to pop any breakers or any fuses. And we're also going to go ahead and test things like the door poppers, since now they are actually wired up, which I'm pretty excited about. So on the next episode, which I'll be filming tomorrow, we're going to be doing all of that, and I'm going to get you guys a video of this truck airing up and airing down on its own. I'm very excited about that. Big moves getting made in the next couple days. Over this weekend, after we finish all that wiring up here and get it all managed. The battery will be in, the truck will essentially be airing up and down all by itself, and we can make sure that all the fail-safes are functioning and we're not going to have any issues. Now, I really do like having these breakers, so they are resettable, which is very nice. And I think it's just going to be really good. This whole panel is going to be nice and serviceable. There is a cover for the fuse box. We are going to have a cover that's going to click over top of this whole panel. So that's going to be really nice as well. And I think it's just going to add to the simplicity in the back, you know, separating the aftermarket components, separating things that don't need to be hooked into the truck really helps when it comes down to doing some diagnostic work on why certain things aren't happening. And it also prevents any damage to the main harness for the truck itself. You know, a lot of people don't realize when you tap into wires in the truck, there can be some adverse effects that you're not really excited about. So tomorrow's video will be airing this thing up. We'll have the battery in. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire. I do have a fire extinguisher in case it does, so wish us luck. We did get the leak sorted back here, so that's all taken care of now. I'm on the fence because I really like the setup back here, but what I'd like to do is I would like to disconnect the air lines that come from the compressors and the main feed into the switch panel, and I'd like to just mount the tank in the back of the bed, and then we'll run up the lines through the bed so we don't have to cut a giant hole, because there's already a hole for this. It'll just make filling this hump a little better. Since we aren't really going to do a raised floor bed, I am just going to take the easy way out and do a hump on the back. But I think it'll just be nice and clean. Should look fairly good. It will be removable, so if you need to service anything in here, that's all going to be taken care of already. I'm just really excited to go ahead and get this thing wired in finally, and then we can go ahead and start our soundproofing in here. So that's going to be fantastic, and that'll be its own little video. We're going to sound proof the inside of the doors. We're going to soundproof the cab, back wall of the cab, and we were going to do some stuff in here on the firewall. Now there is a section that we do need to repair, and I will show you that here in a second. So, as some of you may remember, we have this nasty little bugger right here. Now, my first thought was just to cover it, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to see what these mounts are for. Now, part of me doesn't care if there's heat or AC in here. And I don't care if there's a blower in here, but since I'm sure whoever gets it will care, we're going to be replacing this whole assembly right here. So the whole HVAC assembly is coming out. The one from the black truck is going to go in. It's just in better shape than this one, and I figured why not? We're going to be swapping everything over anyway. We are going to pull this main power wire right here out. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I think once we get in here, I'm going to try to get as close to those brackets as I can right over there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a section out, and I'm actually going to bring part of the trailer fender down into here. So this will come out probably to where this mounting tab is. I'm going to see what that's for. I'm pretty sure it's for the dash, but I'm not 100%, so don't quote me on that. But if it's not anything important, we're going to bring that trailer fender right in here, and we're just going to weld it down here. We're going to do some tacks, get it in place, make sure everything's good. We'll come back through, we'll seam seal it once it's fully welded in place, and we're going to get rid of that nasty little section that's all messed up. So and you know, another thing too, which will be really nice, is when we go through and do it on this side, I'm going to see how much clearance I have over here, because it would be nice to kind of match them on each side, especially since the way the tire sits in here. So as you can see, the tire sits pretty far back in this well. So what I'd like to do is this is the section here that we're going to be pretty much cutting into. And I mean, it would be no thing to bring a trailer fender back here, because see, I mean, it kind of dips here. We are going to be cutting this all out. So this is all going to be cut out, and I'd like to make the inner wells removable. So if you ever have to service anything down in here, it'd be really easy to get to. So what we might do is we might get it all mocked up, do the tacks back here, weld the back portion in fully until it exits or is flush with the firewall, and then the forward portion will be removable. But I'd like to get a little bit more clearance here. Not a whole lot there, and I assume that's where some of the damage came from. I mean, especially if you're going to run something bigger, you know. What are these? 16s? So if you wanted to run 20s and tuck, 22s and tuck, this is definitely going to get in the way. So I think that's going to be a big part. But that's going to be its own little video. And I just want to clean it up. I mean, this isn't, you know, that's tetanus waiting to happen. Now, the other truck doesn't have power steering, so we're not going to have to worry about that. We're going to swap over to the manual rack. Let me see what I got here. So we're going to get this out, and we're going to put the other one in. I'm pretty much just going to do the whole thing, steering column, everything, pull it right out. While this is all out, engine's out, we're going to be upgrading into the Z32 booster, and we're going to go with some Willwood clutch and brake master cylinders. At that same time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean up all of these lines that run across. We're going to try to do like a little mini tuck. So hopefully that would be something that's going to go pretty smooth. I mean, anytime you say that, you know it's not gonna, but that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in and watching the video, and you know, stay tuned for the next one. It should be out, I'm thinking, Sunday. I'm gonna try editing a video for the first time, so we'll see how that goes. If it doesn't go great, at least I'll have the raw footage, and it'll just end up being broken up into probably 3 or 4 videos, but I'm going to release them all on the same day. Very excited. Very cool things to come. The black truck, once everything's out of that, And got some ideas of what we might do with that, but we'll save that for another day. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.